What can you see right now, Gemini?
Okay, I see a woman with blonde hair sitting at a desk with a microphone in front of her. She has her arms crossed and is smiling. There's a computer keyboard and mouse on the desk, and a lamp in the background.
It's amazing.
What else can you tell me?
That has been so useful in diagnosing my sick houseplants, I can't tell you.
And so, if I describe, that I want to hear a song that reminds me of being in a rainy cafe in Japan at nighttime, that's something that you would really want to have all of these different modalities coming together to understand, as opposed to just guessing at what a rainy cafe might sound like.
It's like a two-dimensional version of a fully immersive experience.
Exactly.
And this is the notoriously difficult challenge that people have used to see how good videos
So
are.
instead of having one person eating spaghetti, we just had 10 people eating spaghetti all at the same table.
There was a lot of Will Smith eating spaghetti for a number of years, I seem to remember.
True. Yes. So Will Smith eating spaghetti, that is so last year. Let's try multiple people eating spaghetti.
Welcome to Google DeepMind, the podcast. I'm Professor Hannah Fry. Now, one of the things that we've always done with this podcast is to bring you access to the people who are working on some of the biggest breakthroughs in AI. And a lot of the time, the researchers, they're talking about techniques and technology that underpins big ideas. But now we are at a stage where more and more of the tools that we have seen the early iterations of here are now live. They are out there in the world for you to interact with. So what we wanted to do in this episode is just to pause, to look at the array of tools that have been released, talk about how they have changed since we first encountered them, and to explore the myriad ways that they can be used. And if that is our objective for today, well, there is no one better to show us this progress than Paige Bailey, AI developer, relations engineering lead at Google DeepMind. Paige, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
The thing is that we get to see a lot of the early iterations of this stuff.
Yes.
And last year we had Doug Eck on the show, and he was showing us, I think, the very first iteration of VO.
Yes.
Which now, with the launch of VO3, it's quite a different beast.
Exactly. The first implementation of the VO model was still, just visual only, not including all of the really enriching sound qualities that we see from the VO3 model. And you also had to give it pretty significant guidance in order to get the model to produce something that looked photorealistic or even like something that you might see in a cinematic film. But we've come a long way. I would be really curious to see what that first video looked like.
Yeah, so I think we have it actually.
Yeah, let's do it.
We have this car racing through the streets. You can see the neon lights reflected in the wet pavement below. There's other cars jostling for position around, and it's almost like everything is blurred because you're just going so fast. But it's really consistent. Now it's gone through a tunnel. There are these big lights overhead, and it's come out of the tunnel into an extremely realistic modern scene.
It's a wow moment.
That's incredible.
That's a wow moment.
That is incredible.
That is really good, isn't it?
It is so good.
So some things that I notice now, it is quite blurry. And
yes.
I guess that's sort of part of the vibe that it's going for. But you're not seeing this pristine detail on the car.
Not at all. I think if we also looked really closely, we might also see that some of the physics that's expressing the shots is not quite right. And the way that kind of the light gets reflected on things is also not necessarily quite consistent. So let's see how well the new VO3 model does for this.
Let's.
Yeah.
Doug was demonstrating the real sort of limits of what VO was able to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose it's no coincidence that it was a car that was racing through a scene, right?
Yeah.
If you sort of tried to test VO on, I don't know, like a human face that was moving, conveying a particular emotion, it might struggle a bit more.
Definitely. There were, it's very famous, the videos of people eating spaghetti or some of these things that are very, very clearly not human characters or not kind of real life characters. So it might be interesting also to just try with another prompt too that is a little bit more human centric. But let's try with this.
Let's try this one, Colin.
Yeah.
So you're using exactly the same prompt here.
Exactly the same prompt. And here we're in the Gemini app. So you can see the exact same prompt generating this video. It can take up to 2 to 3 minutes in order to get it to have the right outputs.
One thing that was really noticeable was the way that Doug's prompt was very poetic.
It was lovely.
It was gorgeous.
Yes.
It was a little mini movie in its own right.
Yes.
What are your tips for generating these prompts?
So interestingly, we have a new feature with the VO3 model called prompt rewriting, which gives you the ability to give your input sentence to the API, the way that we interact with the model, and to get a response back that makes the prompt a lot more detailed, a lot more aligned with perhaps what you're imagining. So you don't necessarily have to go through all of the mental work and all of the terminology that would be appropriate to kind of describe this thing that you just imagined. And I often use Gemini for something quite similar. Is you can give Gemini the prompt that you're thinking and your objective, and then ask it to craft a prompt for a large language model or a video generation model in a way that would make the prompt much more likely to produce the optimal output that you were expecting.
That's quite a good tip then, actually. If you are not that good at writing prompts,
yes,
get Gemini to write the prompt better.
Yeah. And so you can do that, kind of just invoke it naturally through the Gemini app, which is probably easiest for people to try. But we also have the prompt rewriter hyper specified for VO3 available through the API if people are a little bit more comfortable with programming languages.
So how long are the VO clips?
The VO clips, for the ones that we released publicly, so the ones that people can try, they're all around 8 seconds in size, so very short.
Why does it need to be 8 seconds long?
So it's 8 seconds made available publicly. Internally, we have models that are capable of producing much more long-form content, but we find that 8 seconds is really good to kind of give you full creative control over that first clip. And for the 8 seconds, it's also useful in the sense that you can kind of get an idea of the style. You can start experimenting with language, and it's also wonderful in the sense that you can start like putting to life things that you might have been imagining before. I know that the entire all of the internet is very enchanted with memes, and now you can have memes that are much more long form, that are actual videos. As opposed to just kind of the single snapshots.
Absolutely. Okay, it's ready.
Amazing. Let's do it. Oh my gosh, this already.
Wow. All of a sudden.
This is so cool.
Okay, now, oh wow, goodness me. Okay, it's like suddenly someone has switched on HD.
It absolutely is.
Especially that first shot. So what we're looking at here, there's, let me watch it again. It looks like you're in Blade Runner.
It does look like
it's really evocative of that. So the neon lights have changed from these sort of pink, sort of horrifying neons to full-on billboards, which you can't totally see the detail of as you go past them, but there's structure to them that that it's included. Yeah. The car is now sort of a painted with light almost, running through the scene. But also look at the lighting on that bonnet. Oh my gosh, that's extraordinary.
It is gorgeous. And that level of detail in all of the buildings, actually, like it's able to, this really does look like a city in a futuristic Hong Kong.
What I'm noticing here is there's a spotlight. A car comes out of the tunnel. There's a little a lamppost above it. And the spotlight perfectly tracks where you would expect it to be along the bonnet of the car.
That's amazing. Do you hear the sound?
The screeching tires.
Yes.
Oh, sirens in the background.
This is so cool.
Oh, it's very evocative, isn't it?
It is.
Oh, yeah. But the sound perfectly matches the frames then.
It definitely does. And the background tracks the sounds for these videos that get generated with VO3. They're actually able to match not just things like the cars as they're kind of coming into the scene, but also capable of giving you audio. So audio as outputs, background music if you wanted to have kind of cinematic music coupled with the audio or coupled with the background noises. All of this kind of stitched together into a single video, which is pretty magical.
Let's try one of the hard ones, right? Yeah. Like the spaghetti thing.
Okay, so let's try a new video output.
Yeah.
What kind of spaghetti eating would you like to see?
I would like to see somebody at a spaghetti eating contest. I would like their face to be dirty with sauce.
Excellent.
And I'd like a whole honk of spaghetti to be essentially hanging from their mouth. Sauce everywhere.
Sauce everywhere. And kind of camera pans in, or camera pans out to see all of the contestants
Nice.
eating spaghetti simultaneously.
Nice.
Yep. And we'll see how well the model can do at this one. You can also use, as I'm sure you can see here, you can ground the initial model frame with an image. So if you wanted to use something like Imagine 4 to generate an image for as the seed frame for the video itself, you would be able to do that as well.
So if you had, for example, a picture of a spaghetti eating contest
Yes.
and you wanted it to replicate where the tables were, where the scenery was, you could do that with this.
Absolutely. And then there are some other capabilities and characteristics of our latest Gemini models that allow you to do really nice editing of images as well. So perhaps you have a spaghetti eating contest, but you only want to have like a certain number of people in the frame, or you want to kind of have a specific style of bench or a specific kind of lighting. You would also be able to give that image input to Gemini, ask for it to transform it, and then use that as the seed frame for the VO3
So
model.
let me understand then, what is new in VO3 that we didn't have before? What makes it better?
Yeah. So VO3 is better for a few reasons. One is that it has the ability to produce sounds, which has been really enchanting a lot of people, I think. Not just background noises, but also realistic music, dialogue, all sorts of things that can really construct videos that feel like they might have been taken in real life. Another way that we've improved VO3 is that the video outputs are grounded in more physics understanding. So as we look at videos, we can kind of spot ways in which the light or gravity really does seem to align with the physical world. And then there's also been a lot of improvements around character consistency.
How are these additional features possible?
Yeah, I think DeepMind is really, really paying attention to how the data is curated to use to train the models. When you think about it, right, like you can see the word tree. You can like see a picture of a tree. You could have kind of the 3D representation of trees or any of the other things that you would expect.
A sound of wind blowing through leaves.
Exactly. And like a video of somebody panning around. Like all of these things are still like associated with that one entity, but it's all very different modalities describing the same thing. And so I think there are, historically, folks have been concentrating on just one modality, so text or code or something similar, when as humans, we experience the entire world in very different ways, everything from seeing to hearing to touching, like all of these things. And so I think that the team has put a lot of time and energy and effort into being able to couple together not just the video footage, but also the sound that composes the video footage, detailed descriptions even at the frame-by-frame level, and then also kind of stitching all of that together into a full representation of the training.
So whereas a language-only model might, have the word tree and it's closely associated with the word branch or twig, the multimodal version not only has all of those embedded within it, but additionally has audio, images, video, all of these different layers.
Absolutely. I think this is one of the things that makes me most excited about the Gemini models, right? Is we're really the only model family that also allows you to output text and code, but also images, to edit images, to have output audio, which we'll see in a second, as well as steerable audio. So being able to say, like, speak softer, or speak more loud, or speak in a different language. All of these other model families kind of relied on stitching together different trained experiences as opposed to baking it all into one innate model. And I think that's really powerful about Gemini.
Okay,
it's ready. Oh my gosh, let's see.
Go on and go for it. I regret.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
So these do look like actual people, though. Like
they do look like actual people.
Yeah.
The spaghetti is, I mean, I would say,
Okay, we're gonna pause for a second, but like look at the faces. This does look a little bit more photorealistic than some of the experiences that
Definitely.
we'd seen
The
previously.
hair, especially, like if you just go to about
Yeah.
there, 2
Yeah.
seconds in maybe.
Yeah.
As it zooms out, this
Yeah.
girl's hair, I mean, look, she's even got like a little bit of a,
Oh,
you can see the little parting bit
yes.
and tufts of baby hair.
Yeah.
But yeah, as she moves, that is really realistic.
This is so cool. Like and then also the noises are something that I would
Obviously
imagine.
disgusting.
Yes, obviously disgusting, but things that I would expect to see at a spaghetti eating contest. And also the kind of how the sauce looks, how the noodles look. That as you're gulping, like some of the noodles are falling back to the plate. Like this is incredible.
And
Like
this is the notoriously difficult challenge that people have used to see how good the videos
so
are.
instead of having one person eating spaghetti, we just had like 10 people eating spaghetti all at the same table.
I mean, there was a lot of Will Smith eating spaghetti for a number of years. I seem to remember.
True. Yes.
Yeah.
So Will Smith eating spaghetti, like that is so last year. Let's try multiple people eating spaghetti.
The thing that I really find impressive
Yeah.
is how an individual object tracks through the frames.
Yes.
You know, and keeps its consistency.
Mhm.
Is that something that you have to impart afterwards?
I do think that the way that the model is constructed, which is a diffusion model, is attempting to hold that consistency throughout frames. But a lot of this logic is baked into the model itself. So it's in the before times, you would have to explicitly program each one of the behaviors. For now, I think that a lot of the magic behind the scenes is just VO and Gemini kind of figuring out what they need to do in order to make the experiences and make the outputs look photorealistic.
Because it has read of the internet, but it's also watched all of YouTube.
Well, not all of YouTube, and in addition to a lot of synthetic data. So, as an example, we're incredibly benefited by having so many game designers and people from the game industry working at DeepMind. And Demis, of course, has a game background. But these environments are really great synthetic data generators for all sorts of things, right? Like you can have, figures running through games, accomplishing tasks, like doing all sorts of behaviors and monitoring them along the way, which can be used as an excellent source of training data. It's also nice in the sense that as you do gameplay, you can have the camera kind of orient itself in various ways around to the characters.
So, okay, I know a lot of the buzz around this, a lot of the new thing about
Yes.
VO3 is the audio.
Mhm.
Just, I mean, how is it being generated in order to correspond? Is it that it's generating something that matches the visuals, or is it like there's a context which produces both the visuals and the audio?
I think it's because the training data has all of the different modalities associated with kind of the thing that it sees. So it's not just seeing a video. It also has the transcript. It also has the frame by frame level description of the video and what's happening. It also has the description of the audio if there's any background tracks. And so all of that kind of brought together simultaneously is capable of generating these much more immersive and natural sounds and natural responses. Because there are certainly instances where, if you listen to a song, you could read the sheet music and you could kind of hear the different tones displayed, but it could also make you feel a certain way. And so, like, if I describe, that I want to hear a song that reminds me of being in a rainy cafe in Japan at nighttime, like that's something that you would really want to have all of these different modalities coming together to understand, as opposed to just guessing at what a rainy cafe might sound like.
It's like a two-dimensional version of a fully immersive experience.
Exactly.
That's nice.
I love that description of it as well. It's we're getting closer and closer towards something that feels very close to reality.
Like a simulated reality.
Yes. And I don't think that was possible previously.
Okay, so that thus far then is the Gemini app that we know and love.
Yes.
But if you are a professional filmmaker or you want to take this a bit more seriously, there is another place you can go to, correct?
Yes, it is called Flow. It's built by our colleagues over in the Google Labs team, and they've been partnering directly with filmmakers to really build an experience that aligns with their expectations.
So go on, show me Flow.
Yeah. And so this is Flow, which is kind of the first place that you would go if you were a filmmaker. You can also see some of the projects that have been happening recently, as well as this thing called Flow TV, which is a really, really cool way to experience some of the videos that have been generated by Flow recently.
So is the idea here then, you still have the 8-second videos, but you can stitch them together?
You can stitch them together. You can kind of style them. There are even camera controls associated.
Oh, wow.
So it really does give you a lot more creative control as a filmmaker, without necessarily, having to sort of. Oh, that's so cool too.
These are
But look at that, like
Yeah.
the physics understanding of that video
the
of
fluid dynamics, right?
Yes.
Is I mean, wow, extraordinary.
this is
Look
fantastic.
at that. Oh, Lord.
Yeah, and then if you take a look at the prompt, you can also see some of the sentences associated. So clean metal plastic injection, opens releasing a pinkish yellow jellyfish, and a lot of the others along the way. Yeah, so detailed. Like
So detailed.
Yeah.
Show me the ways in which this differs from the Gemini app then.
Absolutely. So this is a hyper specialized experience. So if you click create with Flow, you're put into kind of this development environment that you can use. You can start a new project, where you can use text to video, as well as frames to video or ingredients to video.
So hold on, text to video, that's the thing that we were already doing.
That's the thing that we were just doing. There's also the frames to video.
Mhm.
So let's go ahead and do frames to video. And you can stitch together multiple frames to create a final scene. You can also click this camera control button,
Mhm.
and see these different examples. So like dollying in, dollying out, static or tilt down. And all of those are kind of things that can build the sort of takeaways that you would like to see in the video footage.
So essentially this is just it's kind of the same thing, but just a more specialized environment.
Definitely. And we find that, just as you would have specialized environments for musicians to create their electronic tracks, or, CAD designers, you would probably want a really, really dedicated and focused UI for each one of these use cases. They can really hyper optimize for the things that you would care about as a filmmaker.
I think the point about this is that you then have this absolute open door for creativity.
Yes.
So I've seen people take videos as though the Spartans were Instagram influencers.
Yes, absolutely.
Like
And
reporting on their siege.
absolutely. And also character consistency across different experiences, no matter what the lighting might be. Like you might have a little monster character that you want to have swimming through the ocean, and then you also want to have him climbing a mountain, and you want to have him singing on a stage. And it's able to keep that same character consistent, but to change all of the dynamics around it, which is pretty magical.
I do wonder, though, about putting these tools in the hands of people.
Mhm.
There are also concerns about it too, right? I
Yes.
mean, deep fakes, but also scams, tricking people into thinking that news events are happening that perhaps aren't.
Mhm.
Where do you stand on that?
Yes, so we do have safety filters introduced within the VO models themselves. And relatedly, for all of the VO models that are generated through the Gemini app, there's a specialized watermark that gives you the ability to kind of know that this was AI authored, as opposed to being something that was just shot via raw footage out in the world. But we also have special constraints in place around, not being able to generate images of things like children or special entities. There's also a constraint in place such that government officials or people who are significantly present in the public sphere, for policy or for science or for any of the kind of notable figures in the world. We can't generate video content about them. And even the kind of models that we experiment with internally, they still have these constraints.
Well, if one of the key things about VO3 is the audio. Can we go into the audio a bit more?
Yes, we even just released a Gemini text-to-speech API that allows you to generate audio, including steerable audio in multiple languages.
So without the images to go with it, just audio only?
Just audio only, but really, really expressive audio. And you can also have multiple speakers in different languages. So I believe you might have seen the Notebook LM before with
podcasts.
the podcasts that were generated. This allows you to kind of create customizable and similar experiences using multiple speakers or a single speaker.
Well, let me just bring you back for a second, because we did actually get to talk to the researchers who were working on WaveNet.
Oh, yes.
This is like now, I mean, only 4 years ago.
Yes.
And this is where they were at that point, because what they did is they trained a model. This was neural networks, right? Using my voice. And this is where they got to. Hi there. I'm a mathematician, author and podcaster who's fascinated by artificial intelligence. It's very breathy, isn't it?
It is very breathy.
How have things changed since then?
Yes. So things have changed significantly. When WaveNet, which was pioneering at the time, was first created, you would need dedicated single task models for each one of the things that you were trying to do. And so I started doing machine learning, I think around 2009, 2010. And it was extraordinarily painful because you had to acquire all of these special purpose data sets. You had to get them cleaned up. You would have to monitor for things like data drift. Like if anything changed over time, you would have to retrain the model from scratch. And so WaveNet was a dedicated single task model for generating, these really realistic at this time sounding voices. But it couldn't do other things. So it couldn't have kind of like steerable audio. Like you couldn't say, please, give me this audio clip in this kind of style, and do it in German. Whereas with our recent models, they're a lot more steerable by design. So you can give instructions about style, about kind of the language that you're speaking, about kind of pause instructions or speak quickly, speak slower, all sorts of things.
So how much of the WaveNet, I mean, code even, has actually ended up feeding into this model? Or is it sort of you kind of started again once large language models and transformers came on the scene?
Yeah. So there a lot of the code that was used to create the WaveNet model is not, the architectures are a little bit different for our Gemini family, but the data that was used is definitely repurposed. And so all of the examples created for this is the text input, this is the audio output. You can also enrich those kinds of data sets with the descriptions of the style of the audio or the kind of the tone or the temper of the voice. All of that is incredibly useful for Gemini. And that's been one of the really interesting things to see over the years as well, is that previously, like with the first generation of Gemini models, we had to do significant work to kind of fine tune them. So you had things like MetaLM, you had things like special purpose models for generating code that were kind of variations of Geminis. And all of those training data have been now incorporated into kind of the base model itself. So Gemini's just gotten better and better natively at all of the tasks that people had previously needed to fine tune to do.
Go on then, show me how it works.
Yes.
Give me some examples.
Exactly. So if we go over to AI Studio, I'll open up a new tab and pull us into the UI. You can see here this great playground for experimenting with and trying out the latest Gemini models as soon as they're released.
And so to create audio, it's the one that looks like an audio wave on the side.
So interestingly, for the text-to-speech model, you would go to Generate Media, and then you would go to Gemini Speech Generation, and you're launched into this text-to-speech UI where you can specify the different speakers, the different voices, and then also the style instructions for each one of the speakers.
Let's think of a prompt then, because
Yes.
I'm particularly interested in this different emotions. So what about if you get it to say something like, I was waiting for you? And then we try a different emotion.
All right. So we're going to specify in the system instructions, speak in a friendly tone, like you're greeting a relative who just came home.
Nice.
Yeah. And then start typing a prompt. I was waiting for you. And what we're going to do is speak in a friendly tone, like only say what the person prompts you to say. Yeah. And then hit run.
I was waiting for you.
Amazing.
Friendly.
Yeah.
Can we try something different though? Can you make it more romantic?
Yes. So speak in a romantic, hushed tone, very breathy, and only say the words that the person puts into the prompt. And so we'll see how this goes. And I was waiting for you.
Yeah.
And hit run. And Zephyr. Okay, good. Zephyr is selected.
I was waiting for you.
Ooh.
Saucy.
Very saucy.
Oof.
I also love that you can see in this UI the thoughts associated.
Oh, yeah.
So Gemini's thinking process as it's kind of going through the path of creating this audio response.
What has it said?
It says, I've processed the input. I've pinpointed the exact phrase I need to use. The task core now centers on delivering the specific phrase. I've meticulously identified the romantic, hushed, and very breathy tone required. And the next step is generating the audio. So it really gives you like step-by-step instructions of how to incorporate all of these responses.
Can I do some more? Can we do
Yes.
angry?
Yes, you can definitely do angry. So let's change the system instructions again. And so let's say
Someone's late for the date.
yes. So someone is late for the date. I'm going to copy the system instructions again, turn off the stream and start a new one. And we will do this. So speak in an angry and an annoyed, angry tone, like a person has just arrived late for a date, and only say the words that you see here. And so let's try.
This is so much fun.
Yes, it is.
I was waiting for you.
Oh,
She's angry.
She is very angry. Yeah.
But go on, let's do can you do like grieving?
Grieving, yes.
Like a lost loved one.
Yes. So let's try another stream and speak in a grieving tone. Grieving tone. Like you have just lost a loved relative. Only say the words that the person puts into the prompt. And I was waiting for you. And hit run.
I was waiting for you.
Oh, and so I feel like that was a little bit less grieving. So you could probably experiment a little with the prompt.
Now can you make them French?
So we can modify the system instructions. So within this streaming real-time feature, we can say something to the effect of only respond. So only respond to the user in French. Make sure to be bubbly and excited.
Nice.
Bubbly and excited. And only say the text that the user adds in the prompt. And so we can see what the output might be. And we're still going to go with I was waiting for you.
Absolutely.
All right. I was waiting for you. And we've got Zephyr selected. We've got the run button here, and let's try.
Je t'attendais.
I don't speak French.
Je t'attendais. Yeah, I mean, sure.
Yeah, excellent.
So this is all in AI Studio.
This is all in AI Studio.
Which is available for people to play with.
Yes, it is available today for free for people to experiment, to try things out. And even cooler, if you're a developer, there's a little button here called Get SDK Code that whenever you click it, it gives you everything that you just did in the UI, but in code form. So if you wanted it in Python and TypeScript, in any of the languages that you're using in your personal project, all you have to do to replicate what you just did in AI Studio is click Get SDK Code, and you're kind of off to the races.
Absolutely extraordinary.
Yeah.
Are there other things that you can do in AI Studio that you can't do in the Gemini app?
So Gemini Live is kind of Project Astra baked directly within the UI of AI Studio.
And Project Astra, of course, we did a whole episode on this with Greg Wayne. This is the real-time visual understanding, the sort of the first attempt at a universal AI assistant.
Absolutely. It can see anything that you see. It can talk to you in real time. It can talk to you in multiple languages. And you can also sort of add additional tool calls to this process. So if you wanted Gemini to be able to pull out and extract up-to-date information, if you wanted it to be able to interact with any of the apps or any of the kind of products that you use every day, something like Calendar or Docs or Sheets or Gmail, you can give it access to be able to sort of use all of those features within the context of the Gemini Live API.
So, okay, show me then, give me an example then of this working.
Yeah, so let's turn on grounding with Google Search and then also share screen with Gemini. So you can share your screen, you can share your webcam, and of course you can talk with the model, but let's go ahead and share our screen. And I'm going to select one of these Chrome tabs that we currently have open. And let's take a look at that video that we saw with Doug Eck and see what it has to say. Hey there, Gemini. Could you tell me what you see on the screen?
I see a YouTube video playing. A woman with red hair is speaking, and subtitles are displayed on the screen, saying, Hannah Fry, welcome to Google DeepMind the podcast with me. The video appears to be about AI and creativity.
Amazing. So tell me a little bit about what you think the video might cover. And also, what is Google DeepMind's latest models for creative teams? And so you can see here, it's expanding out its thoughts, and it's realizing that it needs to make a search.
Based on the video title, AI, Your New Creative Muse, and the speaker's introduction of the Google DeepMind the podcast, it's likely the video explores the potential of AI in creative fields. It may feature discussions on how AI can inspire or assist creative professionals. Regarding Google DeepMind's latest models for creative teams, they've introduced various tools, including Veil 3 for video generation, Imagen 4 for image creation, and Lyria 2 for music composition. They've also developed Flow, an AI filmmaking tool, and are working on world modeling AI models with applications in gaming and entertainment. These advancements aim to empower artists and creators.
Amazing. Yeah. And so one of the things that you can see here is the thinking trace has been exposed. So it's kind of walking through all of Gemini's thought process on how to answer the question. It realizes that it needs to invoke one of the tools that it has access to, which is Google Search. So it needs to look up some information. Once it gets the responses back from its search, it incorporates that back into its summary, and then it generates this wonderful audio clip with kind of insights that it's captured around all of the products that Google has recently released.
So this stuff, this Gemini Live stuff, you also have it on Android phones, right?
Yes.
So actually I spotted this on my phone a little while ago and have been using it extensively. Let's give it a go. Hang on. What can you see right now, Gemini?
Okay, I see a woman with blonde hair sitting at a desk with a microphone in front of her. She has her arms crossed and is smiling. There's a computer keyboard and mouse on the desk, and a lamp in the background.
It's amazing.
What else can you tell me about?
That has been so useful in diagnosing my sick houseplants, I can't tell you.
Oh, wow. It's also just been so cool to have something that feels like a real life commentator on, as you go about your daily life. Like there's been something really, really fascinating too about using it as kind of a pair programmer. One thing that I commonly use this for is we have a tool at Google called Google Colab, which is a notebooks-based environment with Python code. You can kind of run code, you can execute it. But Gemini also understands Colab features. So if we want to share this tab instead, you could even say, "Hey Gemini, what do you see on the screen now? And if you see any code, please explain what it does."
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I see a Google Colab notebook on the screen, titled Making the Most of Your Colab Subscription. It seems to provide tips for optimizing Colab usage, focusing on faster GPUs and more memory. There are a couple of code snippets visible. The first one appears to check if a GPU is connected and display
Amazing.
GPU
It's so cool.
information. The second code uses the PSUtil library to determine the total amount of RAM available in the runtime
Yeah.
and presents that in gigabytes.
So it's like having a helpful assistant that somehow understands every single thing.
That you could possibly be looking at.
Absolutely. And that also is capable of, answering in an empathetic way all of the questions that you might have or that a curious human might have about the things that they see every day.
So this is good. I mean, I already use Google Colab with my students.
Oh, amazing.
So thank you for that. That's going to be very helpful.
Yeah.
But for people who can't necessarily code themselves,
Yes.
there's another offering within AI Studio.
Absolutely. So in addition to being able to take the Gemini APIs and embed them within tools like Cursor or Windsurf or Copilot or any of the other many like coding IDEs that you might have access to if you're attempting to write code, we also have something called the new build feature that allows you to build apps directly with Gemini. And so the build apps with Gemini section is unique in that all of the code that gets generated within this UI is hyper optimized for the latest SDKs, the latest kind of code that we have for interfacing with the Gemini models.
So just to put that another way,
Yeah.
even if you have never written a line of code in your life,
Yes.
you are going to have slick code if you just prompt Gemini here to build you an app.
Absolutely. And it will be using the latest models, the latest features from the models. It will be generating really, really robust TypeScript code. And it will also be resolving any errors along the way. So if the model hits any problems, it's able to cycle back through, fix the error, to get the model's kind of implementation of an app in a clear and coherent state.
Self-healing code.
Self-healing code. And all with you just having to describe what you would like to see. This is interesting too in the sense that a lot of the vibe coding demos that you might have seen externally are really, really focused on just creating a simple app, so something that's not AI enriched. This is hyper optimized for creating apps that are also using the Gemini APIs or Imagine or the like. So it's really, really cool to see what you can cook up using the build apps with Gemini. Like if we have an idea for an app around like creating a quiz.
Spaghetti competitions.
This is also correct. So maybe we say like generate an application that showcases a spaghetti competition or a spaghetti eating contest. Make sure to use Imagine to generate example images for the website landing photo, as well as other photos about the competition. Also, make sure to include a sign-up form for people to indicate interest.
So this is essentially going to make a website where all of the images are AI generated.
All of the images are AI generated. It should have a form where people can kind of submit their information if they would like to see it. And it also has a kind of immediately launched us into this new IDE with a code assistant, kind of a directory structure here in the middle, and then also a place for you to kind of visualize the app as it gets created here off to the right. And so this thinking trace box, if we expand it out, you can see that Gemini is doing a lot of work behind the scenes to build the kind of core features of the app, to map out the structure, to kind of build the components. And it's writing every single one of these code files into being as we sit here watching, including everything from design patterns to things like the latest React libraries, to even doing error handling for you. So you don't have to think through all of the things that you would have to consider if building out a native application.
Okay, so I am someone who has built websites in the past, right?
Yes.
And honestly, even with the tools that are supposed to make it quicker, weeks and weeks, weeks and weeks this would take.
Absolutely.
And my websites were rubbish. Here we go.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's chosen Comic Sans. I love it.
It absolutely is chosen Comic Sans. And so it has the contest. It's got some images that it looks like are in the process of loading.
Oh, look at this.
Oh my gosh. And then like if I give it a little bit more room, so let's hide this
It's a
code
fake
assistant.
trophy.
Yeah. It's got a fake trophy. It's got the contest, including a background image that it generated of the contest, and then also changed the transparency of the image so that it matched like this very interesting stylistic choice that it's created. And it also has some contest highlights for people who it looks like have previously won the contest before. And all of these images, by the way, they're using Imagen 3, so not Imagen 4.
But you could also, at this point then, let's say that there was, I don't know, some video of a previous spaghetti eating competition.
Yes.
And you wanted to have a page which was a story about that moment.
Yes.
You could upload a YouTube video, have Gemini Live essentially watch it for you.
Yes.
Summarize it,
Yes.
and then embed it into the website.
Absolutely. You could do all of that work. You could even use the Gemini search capabilities. So like finding examples of related information to spaghetti eating competitions and citing all of those sources for the video itself.
And if you wanted to turn this into an actual website,
yes.
What do you do then?
So to turn it into an actual website, something that you could share with your friends and not just kind of share the file itself, what you can do is there's this little rocket here off to the side that says deploy to Cloud Run. Since this has been integrated so closely with the Google Cloud kind of development environment, what you can do is say deploy to Cloud Run. And so after the app gets created, you can select a project. So just one of the projects that you have access to via Cloud Run. It verifies the project that you could actually use, and then says that you can deploy it and gives you a unique URL that you can share with friends, that's scalable, and that even more importantly is hiding all of those API keys so that you can use them and your app can use them, but nobody else would be able to capture them.
What does this mean for developers, though? I mean, you've just done some really extraordinary things very, very quickly.
Yes. Like I do feel like for developers, this means that they can focus more on building and ideation and kind of the product experience, as opposed to, the daily life of a developer right now is a lot of things that aren't necessarily the most exciting in the world. So you might be upgrading a code base from one version to another, or you might be adding typing to a repository, or you might need to periodically check for security vulnerabilities and make sure your code base aren't susceptible to them. And all of these things are, they aren't joyful. It's kind of like tidying up an apartment to make sure that your app is kind of sustainable and maintained. And there's that saying that, everybody wants to build and nobody wants to do maintenance. I think one of the promises of these models and these kinds of capabilities is that there are so many more opportunities for software developers to build and to really build more ambitious systems. And even more importantly, it opens up the door for more people to kind of learn and get inspired by this whole process of creating and getting something out into the world.
Do you think all of these tools together then, do you think that they will sort of fundamentally change the way we think about human creativity?
Absolutely. Like human creativity is about to have, this explosion of progress. And there's this promise of everyone being able to become a creator, and not just a creator in one specific discipline, but to also be able to expand that out into many other disciplines. So I think that there's real magic in having, people who are scientists, maybe in the physical sciences or chemistry or biology, or people who are historians or musicians, being able to suddenly like get all of their ideas or their projects into a digital form that could be shared with others.
Paige, absolutely fascinating. Thank you so much for joining me.
It was awesome to be here. Thank you so much.
With these new tools, it feels like suddenly everything has clicked together. Until now, we've spoken to researchers about every individual element of these new releases: audio, video, language. But there is something so different about having all of those elements integrated and working seamlessly together. And I have been coming here for years, right? I have spoken to the people all along the way. But even still, seeing these tools come to life and imagining the possibilities, I still feel completely wowed. And to be honest with you, I'm now itching to get on the train home and just try out all of the things that I've always wanted to build but never had time to. You have been listening to Google DeepMind, the podcast, with me, Professor Hannah Fry. If you enjoyed this episode, then do subscribe to our YouTube channel or leave a review on your favourite podcast platform. And of course, we have plenty more episodes on a whole range of topics to come, so do